Imagine being stranded thousands of miles from home with no money and nothing to your name. For most people, this would be a cause for despair, a reason to curse their luck. But for Zeno of Cyprus, it marked the beginning of something extraordinary. Once a wealthy merchant, Zeno lost everything when his ship sank near Athens around 300 BCE. With no direction and nothing to lose, he wandered into a bookstore where he stumbled upon writings about Socrates. That moment sparked a deep curiosity in him, leading him to seek out Athens' most respected philosophers and begin his own journey of study. Over time, Zeno started teaching students of his own. From his teachings, a new philosophy was born, Stoicism. Its core values of virtue, resilience, and self-discipline have influenced generations of thinkers, leaders, and seekers of wisdom. The word Stoicism itself comes from the Stoa Poikile, a painted porch in Athens where Zeno and his followers gathered to discuss philosophy. Today, when we call someone Stoic, we usually mean they stay calm under pressure and keep their emotions in check. While that captures part of the idea, true Stoicism goes far deeper. Stoics believe that the universe operates through a rational and interconnected system of cause and effect, which they call the logos. We may not control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. Rather than dreaming of a perfect world, the Stoic faces reality as it is, striving to live better through four cardinal virtues: practical wisdom, the ability to make thoughtful, informed decisions in challenging situations; temperance, practicing self-restraint and balance in every area of life; justice, treating others fairly and with integrity, even when it's difficult; courage, not just boldness in battle, but the quiet bravery to meet life's everyday struggles with strength and clarity. Seneca, one of the most famous Roman Stoics, once wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Despite its focus on personal growth, Stoicism is far from selfish. In an era where Roman law viewed slaves as property, Seneca called for their humane treatment, reminding us of our shared humanity. Nor is Stoicism passive. It teaches that only those who've mastered themselves can lead others toward meaningful change. One of the most powerful examples of Stoic leadership was Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and philosopher. During his 19-year reign, Stoicism helped him lead through brutal wars and personal tragedies, including the death of many of his children. Centuries later, his writings would become a source of strength for Nelson Mandela during his 27-year imprisonment. Mandela, like Marcus, came out of hardship not bitter, but with a powerful resolve for peace and justice. He knew the past couldn't be changed, but the future still could. While Stoicism eventually faded as a formal school of thought, its wisdom lived on. Christian thinkers like Thomas Aquinas admired its emphasis on virtue, and its parallels with Eastern philosophies like the Buddhist pursuit of inner peace are striking. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, once said, "People are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." This insight has deeply influenced modern psychology. Rational emotive behavioral therapy, for instance, helps people reframe their negative beliefs to better handle life's challenges. The same spirit guided Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist. His approach, called logotherapy, draws from Stoic principles, showing that even in our darkest hours we can choose meaning, and in doing so, find strength. Imagine being stranded thousands of miles from home. No money, no belongings, no one to turn to. For most, this would feel like the end. But for Zeno of Cyprus, it was the beginning of a legacy that would echo through the centuries. Once a prosperous merchant, Zeno lost everything when his ship was wrecked near Athens around 300 BCE. Stripped of wealth and direction, he wandered into a bookstore, perhaps out of boredom, perhaps guided by fate, and came across the teachings of Socrates. That single encounter lit a spark that would change his life forever. He sought out the wisest minds of Athens, immersing himself in philosophy, and eventually began teaching his own students. What emerged from his teachings was a new way of thinking, a philosophy that would shape the minds of emperors, revolutionaries, and countless seekers of wisdom. Stoicism, named after the Stoa Poikile, a beautifully painted porch where Zeno and his students gathered. Stoicism wasn't just a philosophy, it was a way of life. Today we often think of a Stoic as someone who hides their emotions. But true Stoicism was never about emotional suppression. It was about emotional mastery. Stoics believe that while we can't control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. Life is unpredictable, even cruel, but within us lies the power to endure, to stay grounded, and to choose virtue over chaos. They followed four guiding principles: the cardinal virtues, practical wisdom, the ability to choose the right course in complex situation, temperance, self-control and balance in thought, word, and action, justice, treating others fairly, even when they don't return the favor, courage, not just in battle, but in daily life, facing loss, fear, failure, and still standing tall. Seneca, one of Rome's great Stoic minds, once wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." And indeed, life often demands that kind of quiet bravery. But Stoicism wasn't about retreating from the world. It was about engaging with it, with clarity, dignity, and purpose. At a time when society treated slaves as objects, Seneca spoke of shared humanity. In a world of injustice, the Stoic response wasn't rage or despair. It was reason, resolve, and action guided by virtue. And then there was Marcus Aurelius, a philosopher-emperor who carried the weight of an empire and the grief of losing his children, all while leading Rome through war and turmoil. His private journal, Meditations, was never meant to be published, and yet it became one of the most profound guides to living a meaningful life. Centuries later, those same pages gave strength to Nelson Mandela, who read them in prison during his 27-year fight against apartheid. He emerged not seeking vengeance, but reconciliation, living proof of the Stoic idea that we don't control the past, but we do control who we become. Though the Stoic schools eventually closed, their spirit lived on. Christian thinkers like Thomas Aquinas absorbed Stoic values. Buddhist philosophy echoed Stoic ideas of inner peace. In modern psychology, it's deeply Stoic at heart. Epictetus, once a slave-turned-philosopher, taught that it's not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. This insight now fuels therapies that help people reshape their thinking, reclaim their power, and heal. Even in the darkest moments, like those endured by Viktor Frankl in Nazi concentration camps, Stoicism offers hope. His therapy, logotherapy, teaches that when everything else is taken, the final freedom is to choose your attitude, your meaning, your purpose. Stoicism isn't just ancient wisdom, it's timeless power. A compass for anyone navigating chaos, pain, or uncertainty. It's not about suppressing emotion, it's about rising above it, with clarity, with courage, and with character.